pretty important has happened. And only today I found out practically what the whole fight between Google and Microsoft is about and what's going on, and especially Groklo has been covering it pretty well. So I've been finding some articles about the hiring of lawyers and about the complaints and about the hypocrisy of Microsoft. So basically Microsoft, which was only months ago accused and pursued by the European Union for anti-competitive activities, mostly things to do with the browser, they now go to the European Union, having just been accused of and actually punished for. And I don't think they were punished severely enough, but they were punished for some behavior. They tried to go to the same authorities and complain about Google. And the argument which is made by Groklo, which makes a lot of sense, is that Microsoft cannot even see what it did and does not really realize how different its own behavior was compared to Google's. Lots of people probably don't bother to look back to see what the case with Microsoft was about and what they did and what they said and the ill intent that there was. But they tried to cast and to create this case where people will think, oh, Microsoft is just one more company that's just basically behaving like Google, and Microsoft is just a victim of its own success. And this type of story, which never really worked, and people would never quite buy this story, but that's the story Microsoft is trying to get across. And at the same time, they try to get Google in trouble for supposed patent violations. They try to get Google. In the case of Italy, for example, the entertainment industry was even trying to put some executives from Google in jail for something to do with somebody who has nothing to do with Google, uploading videos of some guy being harassed. So it's really quite disturbing how companies will be willing to use the antitrust authorities for things which are just completely out of the remit, and to use that as a competitive tool more than actually creating products now.
Well, it's funny you should say that, Roy, because I've been following this story, but I've been taking a slightly different look at it. I think it goes without saying that there's 101 sites that are going to be reporting this story as it progresses. What I've been more interested in is people's reaction. I don't necessarily mean the ones that are tech interested and spend a lot of their hobby or work time looking at IT related subjects, but just the general opinion of how this case sets with the average user and Mr. Joe Bloggs, who uses his computer system. And I refer back to a Microsoft blog posting, which I'll put the link on the show notes, and I haven't got it to hand currently. But having a look at some of the comments, when Microsoft make a post justifying this complaint of theirs, and obviously it's open for comment from any user, and seeing the level, it obviously wasn't by the same person. You can see not only do they have different handles but different styles of writing. But a lot of people have come onto this site and registered their disgust with Microsoft, not only its products but its actions and its hypocrisy as well. And it was very interesting to see the change in public opinion. I personally believe, after seeing lots of relevant articles that have had a forum section or a comment section, and I think the public perception of Microsoft is a lot lower than I originally thought. You've got people from very, very different backgrounds making comments about their views. For example, I will never buy Microsoft products again. Don't think this will sell you the Windows Phone 7 because I will never buy it. But there was lots of comments, a lot of animosity towards Microsoft. And I think personally, we're at an age now where people are willing to try their own things. People aren't willing to buy into advertising and what they're told by PR agencies and things. And I think we saw the seeds of this against Microsoft when the Windows Party 7 adverts came out, and people were laughing at them and criticising Microsoft advertising. It was very interesting, and that's the sort of angle I'm looking at it at the moment, because I do think it's fascinating how the public opinion now is very much shifted. And
I don't think it has really shifted. I think there is confusion here, and maybe I'm wrong about this, and any person can just write to me and explain why if I don't get this correctly, but there is an effort by Microsoft to try and portray people as seeing the new Microsoft, and people now start to like Microsoft and see the revelations and Gates with his wonderful works and things like that. But that in fact is the advertising. That's in fact part of the illusion. It's easy to think, well, they have in fact improved their behavior and people like them. Therefore, marketing has worked. But the fact that this is the marketing, the fact that you think that people actually like the company, that's the result of that's not the result of marketing, that's actually part of the marketing. So what you consider to be a change in opinion, or what you perceive to be a change of opinion, that's just fake people saying that sometimes. In some cases, they go into forums, they create fake Twitter accounts, and they create this illusion where we have a party for Windows 7 and things like that. I mean, you should know they spend lots of money just creating these fake kind of
they could save themselves a lot of money and just buy that software that HB Gary was selling to the US military. But yeah, I mean, one of the things here is, I mean, one of the things you said, Roy, was Microsoft are targeting Google with patent things. That's one thing that I've noticed they're not doing. They're making all these claims about Android, and they're saying, Android, oh, poor us, Android violates our patent. So who are we going to sue? HTC. Samsung. Yeah. Motorola. That's who we're going to sue.
Well, you know what happens, though? You realize why they do that. Because they try to make those makers sway over to Windows.
Of course.
And they try to put pressure. It's not just the fact that Google doesn't have... I mean, Google doesn't have many patents. They could try and sue Google. I'm not sure what would happen, but I'm sure that Google would fight a lot harder to defend Android. So
exactly.
They would reach out to patents. These companies, this company like HTC, they just try to put enough pressure, enough incentive for them to just say, sod it, because... basically, we cannot afford to defend this case. It's just not worth it because all we're going to sell is just a couple of millions of phones. And that's also actually one of the loopholes or one of the falsies and things to do with the patent office, that you would think that if you're just selling somebody else's products, you won't be sued for it, but just shows you how it works and who the victim is.
Yeah, that's the one thing that kind of, from a layman's perspective, I don't understand patent law and various patents and things like that. So I'm looking at it saying, well, excuse me, maybe there is a case, maybe there's not, maybe there's something that Google are doing, excuse me, that they shouldn't be doing or whatever. But the thing that's telling for me is they don't go after Google. That speaks volumes for me. They do not go after Google. Surely. I mean, I'm thinking, if that's my, quote, intellectual property, unquote, who do I go after? I go after the source. I kill it at the source. That's what I do. If it's real, if that's a genuine complaint that I've got, I go after the source. In this case, the source is Google. They know the source is Google, but they refuse point blank to go after Google. Why? Is it because Google are broke that they have no money? Is it? Hell, Google have loads of money.
You said going. Sorry, you go first.
No, go, Roy, please.
Yeah, so you said going after the source, but you know one of the stories we didn't cover last week. We didn't have a show. I didn't have a connection actually. Is a lawyer who used to work for Microsoft basically changed his CV or resume to hide the fact he had worked with Microsoft just shortly before he published some libelous report claiming that the source in Google's Android is in fact some sort of an infringement of Linux. He was trying to sort of create a fight between Linux and Android, and also to claim that Google is sort of disrespectful of so-called IP. And this is a game that Microsoft has been playing for many years, and I think it was in the maybe late 90s or something, maybe the early, maybe about 10 years ago. They had a person called Ken Brown, I think, and he was associated with an institute that Microsoft had paid to generate a report which says that Linux was basically a ripoff in terms of code of Minix, and they were trying to get Linus Torvalds sued by this person called what's his name, Tenenbaum. And this is exactly the sort of thing they do now with this person here, a person who received money from Microsoft. We know this for a fact, and he's hiding the fact he received money from Microsoft before. And he's trying to suggest that Google is not only supposedly infringing Microsoft patents, but also that Google is stealing code. And this ought to remind you of what Florian Muller has been trying to do, of what they tried to do with the SCO case, And what they've been trying to do recently with the patents case is they try to paint Google as this kind of an illegal thing. It's this kind of borderline criminal thing that if you're using Android, you're using the illegal platform or something. And people like Paul Thurrott, I think it's pronounced Thurrott,